Hello and welcome to My Fiber Fun, episode 1. Well, hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I actually have another YouTube channel that I'm more active in, and I decided to start this one because although that channel is a home gardening channel, and that's my other passion, I didn't want to combine that with my other passion of crocheting. I find myself often on that channel talking about crocheting, and although I have quite a few subscribers who crochet, I know that everyone doesn't, and since I'm supposed to be talking about gardening, I decided that I would not combine the two. So I had a dormant channel that I had started probably about a year ago. It was supposed to be about me discussing current events that were happening and me giving my opinion, but that one never really, I just didn't have time for it, and it wasn't really a passion. And so I found myself kind of forgetting about the channel. So I just changed the name of it to My Fun Fiber because I started a new journey that I know that I will not be leaving, and I want to document it here. So for those of you who see this video at a later date, because I have no subscribers, I would like to say welcome and toodaloo. Okay, so to give you a brief history, and I'm long-winded, I'm letting you know now in advance, but I'm going to try to keep it short, and I will continue to do that in the future. In fact, my videos will be pretty short because I won't be doing crochet tutorials or anything. I might show you something or tell you, what stitch I'm using, that type of thing. But to give a crochet tutorial, no, 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 no. I'm not even really interested in doing that. And I'm not really one who's looking for like a huge subscribership. So don't worry about that. I mean, if the channel grows, that's wonderful. But if it doesn't, I'm happy with that too. And I said the same thing about my gardening channel, and it's actually grown in the past year that I've had it. I mean, it's not humongous, but it's grown more than what I thought it ever would. I thought I wouldn't get any more than 20 subscribers, and I'm in the hundreds now. But anyway, what I want to use this channel for is to discuss my crochet journey. Okay, first of all, I've been crocheting. A little bit about my crochet history. I started crocheting at the age of 7. When I was a kid in elementary school, and that was back in the early 70s, schools were still segregated and all that good stuff. We had a teacher at the school who taught crochet after school, like 2 or 3 days out of the week. And so all the little girls, because crochet was so popular back in the early 70s, all the little girls joined her class. Well, I was 6 at the time in first grade, and I knocked on her door and I was like, "Miss Chandler, can I come to your crochet class?" And she, nicely told me that I could not. She said that I would need to be 7 years old or second grade before I could be considered to be in her after school crochet class. Well, my sister, who was a year older than me and who I had to walk home from school with, she was in the class. And so on the days that she stayed after, I pretty much kind of sat in the hallway while the other kids, the ones older than me, were in the crochet class. Well, that next school year finally came, and I was looking forward to getting into the crochet class, and the teacher had left. She had moved to another school, so that was the end of that. But all the little girls who had been in the class, the year prior, and probably maybe the year prior to that, when I was in kindergarten, well, they, at recess, they would be sitting around crocheting, especially if we had indoor recess. If it rained or if it was too cold or something, we'd have indoor recess, and they'd be in the class during indoor recess crocheting on whatever. And so I wanted to do that so bad. So finally I started asking my mother, "Will you buy me?" And at the time I didn't know it was called a crochet hook. I called it a needle. I said, "Will you buy me some yarn and a needle?" And She said no. She said, you don't knit or crochet. She said, so no. Although my sister, she had hers. And my sister, let me back up a little bit. My sister, although she knows the 3 basic stitches, that's as far as it goes. She knows how to do a double crochet. She knows how to chain. She knows how to do a single crochet and a half double. She knows that. But to crochet anything, to get her edges straight, all the techniques, she knows nothing about it. And she expresses a small interest. If it's something that she really wants, she'll make an attempt at trying to make it. And then here she comes, okay? To the expert, so to speak. But anyway, so that's as far as it went with her. She learned the basics through the class, and that was it. But she was never passionate about it to the point that she continued to do it. We talk about it, and she knows I crochet and all that good stuff, but that's, not much to it. But anyway, if she wants something, I'll usually crochet it for her, and she'll get the yarn or whatever. Okay, but anyway, off of that. So my mother, she said no, and she would not purchase anything, crochet-wise for me. I would not let up. Every single week when she got paid, we go to Kmart or wherever, Kresge, and I would ask her. We passed by the yarn section, and because it was like in the middle of the store next to the hats and all that stuff. And I would just beg, and she would say no. Now, I could get other things. At the time, we got $1 a week for allowance, and it was not enough. So, and my mother she told us what we could and could not buy. So even with the allowance, I was not allowed to buy the yarn or a hook. And so anyway, I just kept begging and begging. And finally, right around Christmas time, I guess she said, enough of this madness. And she broke down and bought me a skein of yarn. And I remember picking out the baby colors. It was the Saylee. I don't know if you all remember that name. Sayll. Wait, Saylee. Okay, Saylle or something like that. But it was called Saylee yarn. I don't even think they make it anymore. Because back then they had Saylee, Wintuck, Lee Ward's. You old schoolers know what I'm talking about. That hard, rough stuff, okay? That cost maybe 50 cents a skein. Anyway, my mother bought me the Saylee, and it was for the baby color. It was an ombre, the pinks, the blues, the yellow. Basically, back then, that's all, those were your baby colors. You didn't have the greens and peaches and all that. And she bought me a size F hook. I came home, flopped down on the floor with my yarn, and needle, as I called it. And I sat down and I began doing a crochet chain because I watched those other girls so intently. I saw how they did it. And so I must have memorized it because I just automatically started making a chain. And then after that, I figured out, I stuck the needle in, and I did a single crochet. So I made this long, strip of that. Then when I went back to school, I looked at the girls again. I would see them doing the double crochet. And back then, the granny stitch, if you think it's popular now, back in the 70s, that was the stitch. And to this day, I love my beloved granny stitch. But anyway, I saw them doing the granny stitch, and I learned that, where you put the 3 in the hole and chain. Back then, you chain 3 in between stitches, so you can imagine what it looked like. But that's how it was. It wasn't chain 1 or not chaining at all back then. You had to chain 3. No, I'm sorry. Take that back. You had to chain 2 in between each stitch. And then on the corner, you chained. You put in your granny stitch, for your corner, and then you chain 3, and then you put in your other cluster of granny stitches. Then you went on with the chain 2. And for some reason, the old-fashioned way squares off better. If you notice now, if you chain 1 in between or don't chain any in between, it'll take on more of an oblong shape. Because I've made a granny square blanket in the past, I would say 6 or 7 years, and it's almost oblong. I mean, it's square, but it's not square like how the blankets looked back then. And I tested to see if that was the reason, and that was definitely the reason. When I decided to do it and chain 2 in between and chain 3 at the corner, it turned into the perfect square. So I said, if I ever make another granny stitch blanket in the big square, I still do the granny stitch, but usually it's granny on the straight or something else granny. It's usually not just a big square blanket. But anyway, if I were to ever do that again, and I probably will at some point, then I will do that. I will chain 3 at the corner. It's just the old-fashioned way. Just like back then, ponchos. Now I cannot understand, and I hate them. I hate ponchos now, where you just do the increase in the middle and in the back, and then the shoulders look like how my shoulders look now with this shawl around. No. Back in the day, ponchos were 4 points. So basically all you had to make a granny square with a hole in the middle, the size to fit your head, and you worked around and you did your designs and whatnot. And everything wasn't a granny square back in the 70s, although that was the stitch. Most things were, okay? But the point is, every poncho, whether a granny stitch or not, had 4 points. That is the only way a poncho looks like a poncho to me. I hate these other ponchos that stick close to your body. That's not a poncho. That's a shirt, okay? But the ponchos where you had the points coming down the shoulder, oh, shoot. Y'all know what y'all missing. And I've seen some tutorials where people are old school and do the 4-point ponchos. That needs to be the rule now, okay? Again, because it used to be the rule. Now it's just a choice. And too many people don't know about that. But yeah, the 4-point poncho, I guarantee you use that little bit of extra yarn and you will have a fuller, cleaner, what's the other word? More polished looking poncho, even with tassels and whatnot. Ooh, and we used to put the pom-pom right. Oh Lord, y'all just don't know. Okay, let me continue on. See, I'm getting crazy now. Hold on, let me pause for a minute. Okay, I'm back. I had to get myself together because sometimes I have to rev it down. So I paused it so I could rev it down and continue. Okay, so anyway, so I just told the crochet story. Okay, so that was it. No one taught me how to crochet. I just started doing it. I think I learned it just by looking, and I'm a visual learner anyway to this very day. I can look at something and I can do better by watching as opposed to you telling me or trying to teach me. But if I look at it, once I got it, that's it. And I never forget it. Okay, so I started crocheting, and we did have a neighbor across the street, an older lady who crocheted. And so now, although I wasn't taught how to crochet, when she saw that I had an interest in it, she saw me outside, with because I always had my hook and yarn wherever I went. I don't care how dirty it got, because I was a kid, right? So I might be playing or whatever, but that hook and yarn might be on the ground getting dirty, whatever. So when she saw I had an interest, she encouraged me to stick with it because, of course I got teased. Why? All the other girls were crocheting and whatnot. They didn't get teased. But then me, I was called grandma. I think because the other girls didn't stick with it. They stuck with it for maybe another year. I would say another school year. And then, they just kind of, went into other things, but I stuck with it. It was like once I got that hook and yarn, that was all she wrote. My mother saw that I was consistent with it, and she was always forever replacing hooks, and she would always buy me yarn. And then my neighbor who crocheted, she would give me all of her scrap yarn, and then she would also give me pointers. So she didn't really teach me how to crochet, but she taught me some of the techniques. For instance, she saw that whenever I tried to make, with the exception of the granny square, if I tried to make like a double crochet square or rectangle, my ends came in. So she taught me how to chain 1 at the end, or chain 2 or 3, however many chains you needed to chain to turn it and to make my ends straight. She taught me how to make a purse strap. She taught me how to sew a granny square together, and to this day I can't get it every time. And that's the one blanket I would love to make, where I just make the granny squares and sew them. I've made a few, but mine always pucker. I have kept it straight. I have counted the stitches. I have done everything, used thinner yarn. I've done everything I could possibly do, and they always pucker up. It's something that I'm doing wrong. I've tried going in one direction only and then coming back. I've tried every method I could possibly think of with sewing granny squares together, and it has yet to be successful. So I just stopped with that, okay? Enough was enough because it was frustrating. Okay, I'm a basic simple crocheter. That means I just like the basic simple. I know all the techniques with the exception of sewing granny squares. I just can't master that. But I know all the techniques. I know how to do all the fancy stuff, all the pretty stuff. I can follow a pattern. I didn't learn how to read a pattern until 1995. A friend of mine who crocheted taught me how to read a pattern, and then I went to the stratosphere after that, once I learned how to read a pattern. I know pretty much every stitch, you know. So basically, I am a crocheter. I mean, I'm 60 now. So, yeah. But the point is, I like basic, simple. I always go back to the same things. I like making bags. I like making shawls. And I like making blankets. I can make things like tops. I've made a top before. I've made a sweater before. I've made, scarves, hats. I can make all that, and I've made them. You know, if there's a need or if I'm making it for someone else or something like that, I will make those things. But when it comes to, me having a choice, I'm usually somewhere working on a shawl, a purse, or a bag, not a purse, a bag, or I'm working on a blanket. Those are my three go-tos, and I like basic simple. I heard a lady on a YouTube video once say, and I agreed with her wholeheartedly. I had never heard that, but when she said it, I said, this makes plenty of sense. She said that if you use nicer yarn, be it acrylic, fiber, or, whatever yarn you're using, she said if it's a nice yarn, a beautiful yarn, she said always go with the simple stitch so that the yarn would get where the eye would be the eye would be drawn to the beauty of the yarn as opposed to the fancy stitch. So she was saying that if you had really nice yarn, you don't want to do a fancy stitch where someone's going to automatically look at that stitch and maybe compliment that or whatever, and then not pay attention to the yarn, as opposed to if you do a simple stitch, it brings out the beauty of the yarn and it makes that simple stitch look less simple. So I hope I explained that correctly, and I hope you got what I just said, but I got what she said, and I followed that rule since. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to show you a few of the things that I've made. I've always liked quirky. I've always liked colorful. Now, and I've always used just basic acrylic yarn. Fiber was something I could only dream of until recently when I found out about little knits. Okay, we won't even go into that. That'll be another 2 hours, okay, added to this video. So we won't discuss that. If you know, you know. Okay, we'll leave it at that. But I've always liked fiber yarn, so whenever I could get some, I would. And so I'll show you what I've gotten in the past. First of all, I do a lot of, I go to Goodwill shops and whatnot. It's a store here in my city called Value World. And estates come in, so whatever's there, they put it out on the floor. So from time to time, they get yarn. And I've been fortunate enough, one time, I found a bag that had all fiber yarn in it, and they only wanted like $2 for it. I grabbed that bag with the quickness. It had hooks in it and everything. It was a big bag too. I brought it home, and I ended up using all that fiber yarn. I just crocheted it all together and made a big shawl. My sister, she was getting ready to go to France, to Paris at the time, and she was like, oh, can I use this for the trip to Paris? And I went on and gave it to her because I had tried the shawl on and I didn't like how it draped on me. And then the weights of the yarn was so different, but it looked nice on her. So I told her, you can have this. I got this yarn at Value World for $2. And so then another time I went to Value World and they had yarn. It was all red heart, okay, acrylic, but at the bottom of that bag, and that bag was like $6. And so I was like, I'm not getting this. But then I looked at the bottom of the bag, and what was there? This. And it is, let's see. hold on. First of all, this was the original price of the yarn. I don't know if it's focused in. It was $54.99. I can't see with my glasses on. And another thing, you guys, I'm going to be gone for a minute because in February I go on the 3rd for my measurements. I'm having cataract surgery. He's going to do the left eye first and the right eye second. So I may or may not be out of commission. It all depends. I've never had cataract surgery before, and I don't know what to expect. I understand that it's painless, and you can go right back to your activities and everything after the surgery. But, you know, it all depends. So if I feel like coming on, I will. But I will keep you updated on that. But, yes, this is 100% cashmere. It's looking blurry to me, so I hope it's not looking blurry to you. This is 100% cashmere. It was at the bottom of that $6 bag. Guess what? I grabbed that bag when I got home. I grabbed this cashmere out of here, this $54 for this one skein, and it's enough to make a cowl. And I tossed the rest because I did not want my yarn hoard to grow. And this yarn was all tangled and matted up, so I could look and see that there were animal hairs in there. And so I was like, I'm not even finna fool with this. I tossed that stuff, and I got this cashmere. And I've had it for about 7 years now, so it's time for me to do something with this, okay? The other thing I had, we used to have a fiber yarn shop in Rochester, Michigan. I live in Michigan, and it has since closed. It was called, what was the name of that? It was called My Craft Place or something like that, My Craft. And so they actually moved to Birmingham, Michigan, the Ritzy Ritz area, but they no longer sell yarn and stuff. As far as I know, you know, I'm on their mailing list, so I get their emails, and everything is about, they do a lot of rubber stamping and card making and things like that. They might still, you know, do the yarn and stuff, but they're not advertised like that, like they were back in the past. Well, on the very last day that they were in business, I decided to drive to Rochester just to see, because I had gotten an email from them. In fact, I didn't know they were closing. I got that email on the last day with them saying, this is our last day. Yarns are up to 95% off. It had all this stuff. So it said, come in. We still have a few things left. So I went that following day, and it was hardly anything left. But the 2 things I got 2 Bates Q hooks. And one's right here, but I can't get to it because the phone and the tripod is on top of this. And I have to open this thing that it's setting on. And they had some, it was called Classic Elite Yarn. And they had a whole bunch of it. No one bought it. And she only wanted like 25 cents a ball. So I got it. And here it is. Okay, this is the yarn, and as you can see, I frogged it a million times, but after you get past this first layer, it's all new underneath still. But nevertheless, I was making a shawl with it, but I think I'm going to make a triangle shawl and just use all this yarn. I've kept it because, and I've had this since 2015 when that place closed, because I didn't want to use the good yarn, so to speak, okay? So now I can use it because of my new fiber journey that I'm getting to. Okay, so anyway, so I had those 2 things, and then what the shawl that I have on, I purchased this from Webb's back in 2018, and at the time I was my late mother's caregiver, and so my late mother, I would like to make prayer shawls, and so I started buying up yarn at the time, and I would have my mother to pray over it, and then I just stuff, you know, I put the yarn away. In fact, I still have a lot of it that she's prayed over. And so, you know, then I'll make a prayer shawl. So I decided recently to make this one. And this was some Stacy Charles yarn, and it was a linen. And the reason why I made it like a scrap shawl, although she had prayed over it and stuff, I had a lot of ends and stuff. It just didn't look polished, so I decided to make it a scrap shawl. I make a lot of these, and you'll see more later with acrylic yarn. This is the first time I've made it with the fiber, but I make these because when I'm out gardening in the summer or out in the greenhouse, it keeps the mosquitoes off of me for some reason. So, and then if I'm outside, like, if I'm out in the yard and there's mosquitoes out, I never get bit because I cover up with the shawl. And I guess if a mosquito lands on it, he gets tangled up or whatever, but it cuts down on mosquitoes. So I call them trashy shawls. This one isn't considered trashy, but that's what I call them. And I auction off, well, not auction, but I had a gathering at my home last September, and no, was it the year? No, it wasn't last year. It was the year before last. I had my 59th birthday party, and so I had a raffle. I had raffle tickets, and I had about 8 or 9 of my little trashy shawls, and everybody just loved them. And so I decided to auction those off. Well, not auction, but to raffle those off to my cousins. And so quite a few of them, those who won, have one. And so I told them what it was for, and they were like, no, I'm going to just wear this wherever. Okay, do whatever you want to do with it. But anyway, I had a little bit, and because my mother prayed over the yarn, and this is considered a prayer shawl, I had some left over. And so what I did with that yarn was I double stranded it to make this, so it'll be a little thicker and be heavier, because I like for shawls, I don't like lightweight shawls. I like to feel them when I have them on. And so I had 2 more skeins left of this Stacy Charles. So I'm actually making this for my sister, and this is more than enough yarn to make her a shawl. It's either going to be a shawl or a triangle scarf, and this is single strand. So this is a real nice yarn, and this was brand new 100% linen, and I love the color of it. And I got that on Webs at a discount. It was the Grandpa's Closet or something that they used to have and no longer have. I no longer shop at that site because they have gone up in price and all that. And so, and then I discovered Little Knits, okay? And then that brings me up to now, me getting that Noro yarn that I recently got, and I'll show you that in a minute. And I see we're already at 30 minutes, so this is going to go for a little bit, but not too much longer. But anyway, I've always liked colorful. And so, first of all, going back to the Noro yarn, I thought I had invented something, y'all. In fact, I called it the Quirky Q. That's what I named it, because my name is Q, or it's short for Qetta, but everyone calls me Q. I call this Quirky Q, and these are the bags I love to make. I use my scrap yarn, and I always use cotton. I will do a solid base at the bottom, and then my handle, my strap, is solid. And then I'll put the quirky yarn around it. And so whatever scraps I have, I just run it in a circle. Or some of my bags are square too. They look like little hippie bags, because I'm a hippie, a hippie from the 60s, and I'm 60 and I'm a hippie, okay? But anyway, this is one of them. All the rest of my Quirky Q bags are in the trunk of my car because I take them to the grocery store and use them as shopping bags. This one I just have junk in. But anyway, I tried to start a business with them. That didn't work, and y'all know why. Everybody wants everything free or at a discount. Yarn costs too much. Even the acrylic stuff and the cotton, it costs too much money. I'm not making nothing free unless I'm gifting it, and that's even rare now because yarn costs too much. But anyway, I tried to start a business with these, and when I announced the price, crickets. So I was like, okay. So what I do, this is my bait bag, actually. I call it my bait bag. I carry this wherever I go. I'm stopped all the time. And so lots of times I'll make bags up and I get stopped. I've sold bags right on the spot in the grocery store, and I go to the Ritzy Ritz neighborhood where people, I know they got the money to get it, and they're not trying to get it for free and all that stuff. And I have sold bags like that. I've gotten orders like that. Never a problem. So I still sell these, but if I'm selling it, that's how it's being sold. And then I've had a few relatives and a few friends, who have ordered, a bag or asked me to make them one, and I've done it, and they've paid accordingly. In fact, they'll pay more than what I've asked for it. They feel that it's worth more and whatnot. And so I try to be fair, and I try to pass on savings to the customer. Even with that, you know, the majority, I would say 99.99%, it doesn't matter. Unless you're giving it to them for free, they don't want it, or they're not going to even try to support you. So I was like, okay, it's time to make a change. I've lived half my life now, so I've decided I'm making a change, and I'll get to that in a minute. So as you can see, colorful, that's me. But back to the Quirky Q bag real quick. I thought I had created something, right? So I called it Quirky Q. When I bought that Noro yarn and I saw how those colors run, it's called Wabi Sabi. And he invented that. Mr. Noro invented that back in the 60s, okay? There is nothing new under the sun. And I have found out through crochet, they say you can think you created something. I mean, there's pattern makers and they create that. But you're not creating a stitch and you're not creating any technique. You just create a style and all that stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, and so here's your Wabi Sabi, okay? Same thing. I was like, and I just found this out. Like a month ago, I was like, oh man. But anyway, I love it. So you knew I was going to fall in love with the Noro yarn. And I was like, how do I get my hands on some? Because I saw it. Webb's had it on sale. And that's how I discovered it. And I'm like, this ain't a sale. They still want it. Like, I think it was $45 or $50 a skein. They still wanted that for it. It was like 10% off. I was like, this isn't a sale. I can't afford this. So I pulled up Noro yarn in the search engine, and that's how I discovered Little Knits. And Little Knits currently, right now, they have some overstock, and that's what I purchased. They have the overstock at 40% off. In fact, I believe it was 50 or 60% off when I got this, because it's been well over a month. But right now, it's still 40% off for the overstock. There's only 2 colors that she had, or they had. And then the rest of it is like 20% off. You can get the Noro yarn right now for $35. So you still saving $20 on it, even if you don't get the 2 overstock. So, I mean, that made it within striking distance for me. And so I hadn't been shopping at Joann or Michael's, and I hate saying the names and stuff. I haven't shopped there in quite some time, because when you go there, when I do want to make a project, unless it doesn't require a lot of yarn, I like to get everything at once, you know, and they never have no more than 3 skeins at a time for the most part, especially at Joann. They had skeins of yarn and boxes in the aisle, and I hear that they just filed for bankruptcy again. I don't expect that they're going to be in business too much longer, or they may become brick and mortar or online or only. I really do not know. I just stopped shopping at them. I will go to Michael's from time to time because they have other things, but their prices, you know, were a little bit too high, and lots of times I could not find what I wanted, you know, in the colors and stuff, so I just quit. And so I said, I'm gonna start shopping online. And then I decided, because I hadn't been there in so long, I had saved up a little money, and when I got the Little Knits, I was like, this is affordable. I had the money, you know, because I had been saving, because I hadn't been buying yarn. I was able to get what I would normally spend at Joann's and Michael's. You know, that's what I spent at Little Knits. So I have enough yarn pretty much to last me for the next 4 or 5 projects, because I got down. I got some stuff 85% off, and I'm going to show y'all everything. Okay, and so, but before I get to that, because I got off subject again, this is another one of my shawls. I call this my United Mess of America shawl. And I only wear this, and both of these are acrylic. So, you know, I'm not a yarn snob. Although I'm doing the fiber now, I'm not a yarn snob. If I like the yarn, I'll get it. And this was actually a scrap yarn, a scrap blanket, and I had a lot of the red, white, and blue. So I decided to name it the United Mess of America shawl. And I only wear this shawl whenever I'm going to vote. And then I have this one. This was some yarn I got on clearance. It was that Bernat Maker yarn. Is real heavy. And so I still have a lot of it. When I say it's a lot, that mess was on clearance for maybe $2 or whatever. And so I just bought every skein that they had. And so I made this shawl. It's like this one. It's a rectangular shawl. And I have this button that I put on it for an embellishment because it matched the orange and yellow and white. So, but it's nice and heavy. So I just made a little trashy shawl with that. Okay, so that's it as far as the projects are concerned of what I've made. So you see some of the stuff I've made. I've got blankets and other things that I've made, but that's all I wanted to show today, just to let you know, because when people talk about fiber yarn, I've noticed a lot of people think they'll call fiber yarn as yarn snobs. I've never done that. I've always admired the fact that they could afford that stuff, you know, and although I couldn't, I said the day is going to come where one of these days, and then here and there I buy, you know, if I see something on clearance or whatever, I get it. But now is finally the time where I can actually get it. And because I'm no longer shopping at the you know, the box stores, so to speak, I'm just going to save my money up, and then when they do those closeouts and stuff, I'll be ready and I'll buy yarn, and it will be fiber. Now I'm learning about fibers. You know, I've never worked with wool, but I know that there are some wools out there that aren't scratchy and whatnot. So I'm gonna venture out later into that. But what I like are cottons. I've always wanted to make silk. You know, I always wanted to make a nice fiber art blanket, and that dream, that, how long I've been crocheting? Let's see, I'm 60. At least for the past 40 years, I always said I wanted to make a silk blanket or something. Well, my wishes come true because I am working on my first blanket with the Noro yarn. This is called Noro Haruito. 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 I cannot say that word to save my life. Wait, let me look at it. Maybe I can say it then. Hold on. Is it on here? Haruito. Yep. Haruito. I say Haruito. I cannot say it. There's a reason why I speak English and not Japanese, okay? But this is it. And this is 40% silk, 40% cotton, which is my other favorite fiber, and 20% polyamide. Okay, so this is, and I know it looks weird to you. You probably think it's a shawl. This is going to be a corner to corner, and I'm doing the half double crochet. Remember, I said I'm basic simple, so I'm doing the half double crochet. So it doesn't look right now, but when it's done, okay, imagine that this is a square. My square blanket will have the diagonal or slanted stripes, and this is the yarn. It runs itself, it dictates itself, and I love it. Oh, I've been having a great time. Now you see these stitch markers here. The reason I have these stitch markers here is that every 10 rows I'm marking it because I want this to measure, and I do have my measuring tape right here, and I've been measuring every 10 rows. That, first of all, I don't have to count because I know I'm at the 10th row. So when I look at it, I know I have 10, 20, 30, I have 40 rows, and I'm working on up to my 50th. Okay, I've been measuring, and right now this measures out at 18 inches. This is measuring out at 18 inches. I want to go no further than 60 before I start my decrease rounds. And so I didn't see too many crochet patterns. I saw crochet patterns for the Noro yarn, but they were mostly clothing items. And so I saw one blanket that this lady was doing, and it was beautiful. And she was using like one lady was using the granny stitch, and she had a different type of Noro yarn, but it was thinner. And so she was making a beautiful granny stitch blanket. And then the other lady, I forgot the name of the blanket she was making. It was more fancier, and it looked nice and everything. But I was like, no, I want my colors to pop and do something different. And so I was looking at the knitted, for inspiration. I looked at a lot of the knitted sites, and where they were showing knitted blankets made with the knurl yarn. And so my idea came from this one, and that's why I went with the half double crochet. And I was originally going to do it, you know, this way. And I thought, I wonder how it would look if I did it corner to corner. Whew, that woke it up, okay? This is going to be epic, okay? With those colors, and I'm not even halfway through these colors yet. I mean, I haven't even gone through a full skein. I did a colorway of one color. This is a colorway of another color. I still have another colorway to do of my third color. And so I bought mostly number 11 because the knitted version of this blanket needed 4 balls. I bought 7, okay? Because it was on sale. So this was that discontinued one. I mean, not discontinued, but overstocked one. So this is the one for 40% off. So I ended up buying 5 of these, and then I bought one, and this one was 20% off. I bought one of the number 4, and then I bought one of the number 2. And so my colorways thus far, I have done, I started with number 2, and then where the pink begins, that starts the colorway of number 11, and that's the yarn I have the most of. So I'm trying to decide if I'm going to run a colorway of number 4. I don't think I am. I think I'm going to leave this out and just continue on doing, I'll do 8 rows of this color, which I have a lot of, and then after I do 8 rows of that, 2 rows of this, 8, 2, 8, 2. So these are the only 2 colorways I'm going to use for this particular blanket. Then that way, I'm going to have enough knurl yarn left over to make something else. Because now, it all depends. If there's enough of colorway 2, I want to, of course, end it the way it began. And this doesn't take much. So, you know, I'm going to end it the way that it began. So this will be the ending of the blanket, and then the rest of it will be this color. And so I still may end up having to use this, because if there's not enough to end it with this color, then I will definitely end it with this color, just to give it some sort of balance. Okay, so here's the other knurl. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that 5th one. And as you can see, I still have a lot of this yarn. So I think I'm gonna probably end up having enough between those 2 colors to finish this blanket, because I don't want it any bigger than 60 inches, that's for sure. I want it to, I don't want it to be huge. I want the blanket to be like a lap blanket, you know, just something I can wrap up in. And then I'm gonna probably sew a backing to it after I'm done. Okay, now let me show you what my haul. And yeah, it's a lot, okay? Now, I ordered this. It was the mystery bundle on Little Knits, and they choose the color. I did not like these colors, but I love the yarn. But what I ended up doing, because this was the bundle of 20 skeins of the Lang Secure, and it's the Pima cotton. It's hold on, I can tell you what it is. It's hold on. It's 40% Pima cotton, 46% rather, 46% acrylic, and then 8% polyamide. Okay, but this is some beautiful yarn. Beautiful. It's lightweight, it's very fluffy, because I thought about maybe making a sweater or cardigan with it, but look at the colors, y'all. And they did 4, 5, is it 5? Yeah, 5, 5, and 5. So I was like, I hate these colors. So then I thought about making my little great nephew a blanket. Then I was like, no, this yarn is too good for that. If he gets another blanket, because I made him one last year, I said then it'll have to be from, you know, straight acrylic or whatever, until he gets older, because he'll be 2 next month. So I'm like, not for a 2-year-old. So I was like, I'm gonna just make myself a quirky looking blanket. And so what I did was, since they still have it the bundles for 85% off, I ordered another one. So that's in the mail and that will be here. So I put a stop because I actually started a blanket with it. So I decided to frog it. I took it down. You use an L hook with this yarn. And when I say it crochets up beautifully, I'm glad that I had done that little swatch where I had started. And I didn't like the colors, but actually once I started it, I was just doing a regular double crochet. But this is what I may use since it's so lightweight. I may do a granny. I might do a granny square with this yarn just because. So I'm waiting on the new batch. And I'm hoping, I asked them not to send the same colors. So hopefully they'll send more colors. I'm thinking if we could put, and I asked them if they could add darks, you know, to it because these are mostly lights and I have the one dark. I told them greens would be fine, you know, because I have this mint green in here. So the sage, you know, different. So I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I did put that in the notes. So hopefully they'll do that, and then this will balance out really nice, and these colors will be just great. But those 4 colors by themselves, no. Then I found some more Noro. This was another bundle, and I believe this bundle was 75% off, if I'm not mistaken. It was cheap, I know that. And so this was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was 10 skeins, so you got 4 of one color and 3 of the next 2 colors. And it's the Noro Asinga. I think that's the way you pronounce it. Let me spell it out for you. Hold on. Oh, Asingnu. It's spelled A-S-A. Oh, Asaginu. Asaginu. A-S-A-G-I-N-U. And I've seen a lot of videos with this yarn. It is actually, this yarn consists of, is 69% linen, 30% Japanese paper, and 1% polyamide. So, but I've heard nothing but great things about this yarn on the tutorials that I've seen about it. It drapes well, makes good clothing items. At first I was thinking, I can make a shawl with it, you know, whatever. I'm thinking, you know, with these colors, because I was thinking I could make a shawl with the 4 blacks, and then with the 3 of the mustard color and the lavender color, I think that's lavender, I said I could probably make a nice scarf with it. I hear a little of this, which, you know, it doesn't come with that much. I hear it goes a long way. And when I saw some of the things that they were making, like swim cover-ups and different things, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this for a minute and I'm gonna figure out something good to make with this yarn, and it's probably gonna be a clothing item, which is something. See, this yarn, this good stuff is making me broaden my horizons, you know, because this is the good stuff that you would use for clothing. And then last but not least, oh, I forgot to show y'all one of my other old yarns, this one right here. This is a silk and cotton blend. And I meant to tell you that other one I showed you, that ball, was silk and alpaca, 50-50. This was 50-50 silk and cotton. And so I'm going to make another one of these scarves, like what I'm making my sister, scarf shawls. I'm going to make another triangular. And this is old. This is from that day when the yarn place was closing. Okay, so I bought this one too. I forgot to show it to you. It had rolled over on the other side. The other thing I got, and this is the end of the haul, I bought some KFI, and this was on sale. Know that everything I bought was on sale. It had to be within striking distance, okay, of me being able to afford it. And this is luxury silk. This is 100% mulberry silk. I poked a hole in it because I wanted to see what it, oh, here's the hole. Y'all, ooh, that little mulberry caterpillar, he did his thing. This is some beautiful stuff. This will definitely be either a shawl. This is so much because it's heavy. So I know this is a lot of yarn. I think it's like 450 yards, if I'm not mistaken. So, oh, here it is. It's 289 yards. It weighs 3.52 ounces. It's 100 grams, 265 meters. And it's a number 2 fine weight. and it's to use for the stockinette stitch and knitting, and for crocheting, single crochet on a USE hook, 4 point, or up to 5. You could use up to a 4.5 millimeter hook also. So this is it. So I will be crocheting something very nice with this too. So that and that Noro Asinaju, as I'm calling it, is going to sit for a while. And that's okay. That can be part of the yarn hoard for now. But in the meantime, I will be finishing my, I'm calling it the Wabi Sabi, my little Wabi Sabi blanket. And after I finish that, I will continue on with the cotton blanket. And then it'll be probably summer sometime when I start with the other stuff. And by then, no telling what all I may have ordered if a sale comes up. But anyway, okay, so that's about it. Oh, and I'm getting ready to order some more Furls hook. Now that I'm doing the fiber, everything I buy from now on, first of all, unless I'm gifting, no more sales. Unless it's like one of my store sales, you know, someone stopped me and they're interested in a quirky Q bag. Oh, I'm getting some of those made up because I have a lot of scrap yarn still in the closet, and I can easily make up some more cotton quirky Q bags or whatever. These are, I bought this back in 2018 when Furls hooks first started or whatever, or they had been started maybe a year. I bought the Odyssey. I hear they're discontinued now, and I love this hook because it's heavy. Never used them because I said I am not using a hook that looks like this on some acrylic yarn. And I know, now that is yarn snobbish, okay? But I never used them. This was in the back of my closet. I had a full set, as well as this bag. Back in 2018, I ordered the Furls hook set. They had a big Christmas sale. So I got all this stuff, you know, at a discount. I don't think, I have to look because my receipt is on the Furls site. I have to look to see how much I paid, but it wasn't that much. It was probably, I think it was like 120. So I bought, at the time, Furls had come out with this leather crochet bag, and you can see the F there. I chose the black. Never used this bag, never. It sat in the closet as well as the hooks. And it's a crochet bag, and it's designed for your Furls hooks. You put those in, and then of course I got a million other things in the bag, you know, that I use, but it's leather, and it's a heavy bag. I mean, this thing it weighs a ton. But I just started using it. I said, since I'm doing the fiber yarn, I may as well look rich, okay? So I've got the bag that I took to the doctor's office when I went to the eye doctor 2 weeks ago. My sister was like, where you get that? I said, I've had this thing for 7 years. I said, and I just pulled it out, as well as the Furls hook. Well, they've discontinued the Odyssey, and I decided I want another set of Furls hooks. So, oh man, when I saw what was on their site now, I don't like those. You know, the resin hooks are beautiful. I like a hefty hook. And that's what I like about those. That's what I like about the Odyssey. So I looked at some reviews on YouTube, and I found out that the new metal hooks are hefty. And TLC Yarn Crafts, she weighed it, and I think it was 3.5 ounces or something like that, but it had heft to it. Every review I saw of the metal hooks, they talked about how heavy the hook is. So that's what I'm going with, the metal. So now I have to decide, do I want the red like everybody else has? I'm not really, I've got red with the Furls, so I really don't want to go with another red, although it's beautiful and sleek and whatnot. They have the onyx. I like onyx, but then I don't want a black hook. You know, it would probably be easy to find, but, you know, the bag is black. So I think I'm going to go with the gold. They have a gold, and then they have a limited edition copper. And so I think I'm going to go with the gold. And then this is going to be my crochet journal, where I will write down, you know, whatever I'm working on and stuff like that. I need to clean this up. I've had this book about 30 years, and nothing's ever been written in it. I just had it, holding on to it. So when I dehoarded a couple of months ago, I did the Swedish death cleaning. I'm still not done, but I got rid of so much stuff, but it was some things worth keeping. So this went into the keep pile, and now I have found a use for it. So, and this was just recent. So it was an old journal, never written in. I need to clean it up, because it's been everywhere. And so I'm going to get it cleaned up, but it looks pretty good still, on the contrary. So the other thing I want to get some fancy, I've got my stitch markers, your regular little stitch markers, but I want some fancy ones. So I'm getting ready to order some nicer stitch markers, and I'm getting ready to watch a tutorial on how to make them. I might be able to make the stitch markers myself. If it's cheaper doing it that way, I'll make my own. I just want something a little more fancier. And the next thing, I need to buy a hook gauge, which is where you test the gauge of your hook to make sure that it's the right size. It's something else that I wanted to order. I can't remember. Golly, what was it? Okay, well, anyway, it'll come to me later, so maybe in the next video. How long have I been on here? An hour? Yes, an hour. Okay, so we're going to end this. I know I'm forgetting something, but I think you guys get the gist of what I'm talking about. So join me on my new fiber art or fiber yarn journey. So I will come with reviews later. I'm going to review the new furls hooks once I get those. If I get some of because I want to start a collection of stitch markers. So anything crochet related that I obtain or that I hear of or whatever, I'll be on. It's not like I'll be on every single day, but, if you decide to subscribe, I would really appreciate it. That would be nice. You can hit the like button and subscribe and, and then hit the notification bell. Then when I do come on, I don't know how often it'll be. I know it will not be every day, especially when gardening season starts. But it'll be enough to where you'll see me. It's not going to be dormant. So, because things are going to be always happening. And I'm going to keep you updated on the progress of my wabi-sabi, as I'm calling it. My wabi-sabi blanket. And so I'll keep you updated on this. So I'll be back one day this week. I'll probably set my filming for twice a week, or maybe on Sunday, something like that. I'll get it figured out, you guys. So anyway, feel free to comment, and like I said, subscribe if you see this. I'm going to put all the hashtags there, so maybe I'll pop up on the front page and somebody might click on me. Yep, I'm old, okay? But that's all right. I still got a lot to do here. And since I've lived half my life, I said now is the time I can start using some of the yarns that I like, and that the feel, of these yarns and whatnot. I deserve that, I think. And I think anybody does. If you can do it, and if you can strike and do it, just do it, So that's what I've decided to do. Instead of wasting my money on more acrylic and stuff, and like I said, I am not a yarn snob. You get what you can afford. That's what I've done for the past 50 some odd years. And then whenever I could get something a little nicer, I would, but it wasn't that often. This is the biggest haul of nice yarn that I've ever gotten in my life, and thank God for Little Knits, because otherwise I would not have been able to get that much. And I didn't even think I was going to be able to get a hold to that Noro yarn, but when I saw that on the website, I was like, I've got to find it. And when Little Knits had that sale, I said, I can get it. I can get it. I can get it. So I got it, okay? Yeah, I spent over $100 for that Noro, but that was actually, first of all, that Lang Secure at 85% off. It would have normally been $280 for those 20 balls. I didn't pay nowhere near that, okay? And then, let's see, and even the Noro, that's probably about $500-600 worth of Noro yarn. I mean, when you think about it, 2 skeins would be normally over $100. And I spent, I think I spent was it $24? I think, I can't remember. I need, and they don't put it on your receipt when they send you your invoice. They don't put what you paid. But I think if I go to the site, I can see what I paid if my order is there. But I know it was only like 20, 22, 24, something like that. per skein. Yeah, that's a lot, but I saved half, basically, because I think, no, it was more than half, because I believe it was 60% off. And then after the new year, it went to, I know now it's like 40% off. And then the other ones are like 35 or 25% off. I can't remember. But all I can say is you're saving some big money. So, and since I had the extra money because I hadn't been buying yarn, from my yarn budget, I just went on and used it for that. And it worked out for me. And hopefully that can happen again. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm not going to be going to the little stores, around town. If it's something I need, like some glue or, something like that, then I'll do that. But, other than that, to buy yarn and stuff that I spend a lot on, I'm not doing it. Nope. It'll be online only, and it will be with Little Knits or whoever is having a sale. I'll be checking around. So whoever has the better deal, that's where I will be. But Little Knits, they found a friend in me for life, okay? Until I die. That's it. Okay, so I'm off of here, you guys. I'm getting ready to get back to work. And I think I'm going to leave my wabi-sabi alone and start working on my sister's scarf because I want to get that done hopefully by the end of this week. So I will talk to you guys later. And may God bless you all. Bye-bye.